Take kind of everybody through going from your senior year up to draft day when you're kind of rising the ranks and getting on the radar. What was that like?
Rising the ranks was fun, but getting there was rough. Going into the senior year, coming off my ACL surgery, trying to get back acclimated. Obviously, we want to do big things senior year as a team, individually. We were able to do those things. And then climbing the ranks, creating a good senior year buzz. Was able to go over 1,000 yards, was able to score some touchdowns, and we were winning. So that created the buzz for me there. And then leading up to from there, I got the agent, Bardia. He was a great guy to me, helped me out a lot. Very, very knowledgeable. And I feel like he put me in places to win. So after senior year,
kind of got your foot in the door with that NFLPA game, right? Kind of got your foot in the
Yeah. So he also got me some very, very good and elite training. I went out in Dallas, trained. That helped my knee even more coming off of a busy senior year. So got to improve my 40 time and improve my knee and my strength and also my overall strength. And then that led up to the invite to the NFLPA. He sent my film out, and I was the only D3 player that got invited. So going out there with essentially no recognition, not a lot of buzz. I think leading up to that, we had a couple teams, reach out to me and you.
Yeah.
So pretty much just under the radar and
Sure.
just going out there trying to make a name. Obviously, I've said it before back when I was playing, like just putting on for D3 alone, being the one and only guy. The players might not know, obviously, where you're from, but obviously the scouts don't really know where you're from or who you are. So my goal for the first day of NFLPA was to create a name. I remember walking off the field after our first walkthrough, the scouts, there was 800 scouts there, and I didn't talk to one scout after our first walkthrough. Now it's like at the next practice, I got to at least talk to 3 coaches. I got to do enough on the field to do that. And after our first official practice, I talked to 8 teams right after practice. Didn't even make it off the field. And then I ended up having like 4 interviews that night. And that pretty much started everything. You get business cards. You send the business cards to your agent.
And then like when you went to the BG Pro Day, then a few more people know about you on a little bit different level. Bowling Green was gracious enough to let you get in there and work out, and you ran well.
Yeah. And then that's the next fight, depending on what school you come from. Most D3 schools, they don't have pro days, so now you have to either get in within the mile radius. The NFL has a certain radius when you can do a pro day, and then you also have to then be invited by that school. It's just not given.
It's not easy.
So. Yep. So with like what you said before, is building a resume, building a radar, creating the buzz of myself. I was able to get accepted at BG. BG personally, I felt like that was a great spot just they had a high ranked receiver.
Yeah.
He's I don't know if he's in the league right now. I know last year he got let go, but he played like 3 years. He scored some touchdowns for the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
He was rated number 14. Overall receiver.
We have one of the all-time greats here with us today to talk a little bit about, we're going to just ask you, Stacey, talk a little bit about, in 1988, the season of 88, the Polar Bears were building a program, and it was a 3-7 season. But how do you rise from a team that was 3-7, Division III athlete, to be a guy who was on draft day in the mix to get drafted? I mean, be a pro prospect. How does that happen?
I go back to the days when I played, and for me, I was very fortunate to have one thing that you just couldn't teach, and I was able to run.
No question.
And being able to run was my ticket. It allowed me to play. As a senior at Ohio Northern, I started as wide receiver and as a corner.
I remember it well. Remember watching it well.
So going into draft day, some teams were looking at me as a wide receiver. Some teams look at me as a defensive back.
Yeah.
But everything came down to the fact that back then in the NFL, we had 30 NFL teams. Now today you got 32. over the course of 1988 and spring winter of '89, I had 28 of the 30 NFL teams come into Ohio Northern at some point in time. And they
That's
all wanted to
amazing.
see this guy that could run,
Right.
all school.
Is he as fast as they say he is? And then if
You know,
when
and
you
every
got that
time,
spotlight, you made it happen.
I mean, every time it was, for me, it was simple. I woke up, it didn't matter who came in, what day, what time, whatever. I knew I was going to run, in a certain range. I mean, I think they had me, I think somebody clocked me as slow as 4.36. And that's what I remember as being my slowest time. And I had somebody clock me at a 4.25. So between there, I had 28 different NFL teams clock me somewhere in that range,
Well, and I
usually
think
around 4.30,
probably
4.31 range.
sure. And I bet, like in those days, it's hard to kind of get on the radar, but I bet because you're also an outstanding track athlete. So you had probably some track time. So if the coaching staff, Coach Kaskowski or whoever that they contacted, they say, hey, do you have anybody? They say, yeah, we got a guy who runs a 10. What were you running? 10 something 100 meters, right? I mean, you're
I never really even had an outdoor season because I always got injured outdoor. I pulled my hamstring. I mean, I think as a sophomore at Ohio Northern, I ran the 100-meter one time. I think I ran a 10. I think my sophomore year I ran a 10.5, whatever it was. But I
so
never
it's
ran
on the.
anymore after that.
But the nice thing is, once you get a 10.5 in the books, even if you probably could have done better as your junior or senior, it's on the books, and the coaches can say, hey,
Right.
10.500. Okay, Jason, draft day weekend, a lot of people, a lot of interest in what, goes in the draft. I mean, it's fascinating kind of what this is all about. So I think there's a lot of interest, like, for a guy like yourself, how you kind of got on the radar. Why don't you take us through like when this, when you were a junior going your senior year, kind of how this all went down.
Yeah, for sure. It was it was a wild ride, I guess, going into being a Division III football player. It was one of those things where, I was just going to chase a dream to continue to play football and just play Division III football. Never knew what can happen. But going into my junior year, just had a really, really good year. Was relentless all year after the quarterback and kind of just had a really, really good year and put me
Yeah.
on the radar from All-American, Player of the Year. And after that year, just really got some looks. Coach, Dean Paul, Stacey Harrison start getting a couple calls about, hey, this guy might be somebody we want to look at. And when I heard that, it's like it didn't change who I am and the player what I did off the field and on the field, the hard work and everything I was going to put in. But it gave me like just a little sense of like, hey, man, there's another opportunity. So I had the opportunity to play Division III football, but now there's an opportunity that maybe there's some more football left in my days after college.
No doubt.
So, yeah. So,
and if I remember correctly, too, thinking back to it, I mean, you had some measurables that definitely helped. I mean, you kind of filled out, and that I think junior going to senior, now you're about 240 maybe at that point between your junior senior year. And when they came and timed you in the sports center in the field house, I think you nailed it. If I remember, I mean, your 40 and your agility. You were ready.
Yeah, for sure. That was one of the things, obviously after the junior having a great year and having a great senior year coming back and having some scouts come in for that pro day. And I don't think I personally could have put a better day together. There was, I think, maybe a couple scouts only there, but it only takes one
Right.
person to, see you run well and do
Word
well.
gets out,
So
man.
and I just basically prepared for that day and took advantage of it. And I don't think I could have put better numbers for myself as far as pro agility and lifting and the 40 time and stuff like that. From there, it was all kind of everything just started opening up after that, having that great day. And I actually think I ended up doing, being a small Division III guy, I think I ended up doing, 3 or 4 pro days following. It was almost like one every week just because I don't know which coach or which position coach or what's going to happen. So with doing that, it was like, man, it was just one week after another. And that dream closed on reality really, really fast. And I just forever thankful for sure.
That's awesome.